might be somebody who thinks, I cannot stand religious people. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. And if you're somebody who thinks like that, you might actually enjoy this story. This is the first chapter in the book of Isaiah. And so it starts off with an introduction. It says that these are all of the visions that Isaiah had about the cities of Jerusalem and the nation of Judah during the reign of these kings. And this is a vision that God sent to Isaiah. He asks the heavens and the earth to listen because he has something important that he wants to say. God says, "Look, once you were little tiny babies, and I raised you to be wonderful adults from childhood, and I loved you. And even though I raised you to be my children," God says, "you turned away from me and you rebelled." And this is a very strange thing because even the oxen and the donkeys, they know their masters. And so even though these creatures know their masters, you don't know your master. You have totally turned away from me and rejected me. And of course, anytime somebody does wrong, they are disciplined, just like a father disciplines his children. And you are insisting on continuing to be disciplined. And what's happened is your head is injured, and your heart is afflicted, and you're upset. And from the very top of your head to the very bottom of your feet, your body is covered with sores and brokenness and sickness. And even though I've done all of these things to you, you refuse to turn to me. And more bad things are coming. You used to live in a beautiful, lush land, but that land is going to be totally and utterly destroyed and barren, and your cities are going to be torn down and are going to be burned with fire. And people from other nations are going to come and they are going to look through the rubble and they are going to take away your stuff. And even so, God says he really loves his people and he doesn't want them to be totally destroyed. He could have totally destroyed them. He's totally destroyed other nations in the past, but he loves his people and he wants them to thrive and flourish and continue existing. And so he doesn't completely destroy them, but he leaves a small remnant that can carry on. And God goes on to say, you know what? You are a sinful and evil people, even though you are very religious. You come to me all the time with your offerings and your sacrifices, and you pray to me and ask me for things and come into the temple, and you have all kinds of celebrations. These people are dancing, and you keep all of the religious festivals and holidays, and you are so religious. But I hate these things, God says. You do all of this stuff, but it's just like you're trampling my courts, and I really would rather you didn't do these things, because you continue sinning. You pretend like you're religious, wonderful people, but you continue doing the bad things. And I'm frustrated, and I'm exhausted, God says, and I am going to turn my back on you, and I am not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to stop up my ears. I'm just going to listen to some music instead, because I don't want to hear what you have to say. But you could come to me. You are people with hands full of blood. But you could come and wash your hands, and you could be clean. You could seek justice. And you could help the people who are oppressed. And you could help the widows. And you could help the children who don't have any parents. And God says, come and reason with me. Let's work something out. Right now, your sins are so many and so grievous that it's like you are covered with scarlet that is stained and dirty and can never be fixed. But if you come to me and if you agree to do the right things, I will wash you and you will be white like snow. It's winter where I live, and we had a really nice snowfall in the night, so that's beautiful. And that is what we can be like, as clean and beautiful as the snow, all covered up. You can't see any of the imperfections. It's amazing. And this cleanness and washing it to be like snow, that is only possible if you choose to get rid of the old bad things that you've been doing, and you choose instead to do the good things that I've told you to do and that you know to do. And if you don't turn away from your wicked ways, you will be devoured with the sword. And my city used to be a good and faithful city that called out to me and looked to me and loved me. But you've stopped doing that, and instead you have chosen to love other things. And it's not just the citizens who are doing bad things, it's even the rulers. The rulers love to have bribes, and they're friends with people who are thieves, and they chase after gifts, and they do all of these things instead of following God's laws. They don't help the widow, and they don't help the fatherless children, and they don't help people who are being oppressed. They're just after their own gain, unjust, wicked gain. And I am going to get rid of all of this wickedness, God says, and I will restore you to the times when you used to follow me. And then there will be justice and righteousness again. And you will be ashamed of all of the evil practices that you did. It talks about sacred oaks, and gardens that were unpleasing to God. And it says that these things that you were doing, you're going to be ashamed of them. And I am going to turn them into dry trees with fading leaves. And I'm going to turn your streams and rivers into just nothing, dirty, dry creek beds with no water in them. And the man who used to be mighty, he's going to become like kindling, and all of the things are going to be burned up. And that is what God thinks of hypocrites.